The Russell neighborhood is a predominantly black community located in a large area that locals call the West End of Louisville. Its boundaries, rooted in a past that the city would much rather forget, were lines drawn in the sand that divided the city's haves from its seemingly have-nots. Heavy emphasis on seemingly, but we'll come back to that. Russell's boundaries begin at 9th Street and stretches its arms to cradle West Broadway, West Market Street, and Interstate 264 West in its bosom. Louisville, in a nutshell, is a good old boy city with old money and an even bigger flex. It's the home of the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali, the Kentucky Derby, University of Louisville, the home of the greatest annual fireworks celebration in the world, Thunder over Louisville, and of course, Kentucky Fried Chicken. But if you want to know more about the Russell area of Louisville, the answers will most certainly vary depending on who's telling the story. No one seems to know exactly when the community of Russell actually got its name, but what is clear is whom it was named in honor of and why it was created in the first place. The Russell neighborhood is named after the renowned black educator Harvey C. Russell Sr. Development in the area began in the 1870s with mostly white families, but by the 1890s, white families had already begun moving out as black families moved in. By the 40s, Russell was a booming black community with its own theaters, classy nightclubs, and dining restaurants. Sounds like an urban utopia, a far cry in contrast to Russell now. Yet the pride of Russell remains still, and Russell Place of Promise exudes that pride with its education and resources. Through its resident home repair program, Russell Place of Promise awarded 31 senior residents with stipends for much-needed repairs or updates to their homes. I had the honor of interviewing 5 of the residents about the repairs they've had or would like to receive, but walked away with so much more. I may not have had the luxury of sitting down for an interview with Elizabeth Smith, but it in no way hindered her story from coming through.
It was fun because everybody played with everybody. Everybody had buku kids. All my other relatives had anywhere from 6 to 9 kids, but so that the other, the other neighbors, everybody had plenty of kids, and you all played together. It was no fussing or fighting or anything. You just had a good time. You had to be in before dark or whatever, and that was that was just it. You just had a good time. You go to school. In my instance, anyway. I was made. You go to school. You come home. You do your work and your chores and stuff, and then you could go out and play. But by 6 or 6:30, you was coming in because dinner time, and then after dinner time, you was ready to go to bed and stuff. But I enjoyed the area. The Roosevelt Perry, I think, was still there, and I'm sure that's what it was still named. But I do remember the pool. Everybody would come down from further west and go to the pool that was right there where Russell Park is now. That was a great big pool. But I enjoyed growing up. We didn't have all the violence. We didn't have all the. It was just like a nice community that you grew up in. Nobody fussed and fight, and everybody's family watched the other one. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if my parents had to go to work, then the neighbor or whoever kept an eye on us, although we were like latchkey kids, we could go in and out and stuff because our parents had to work, especially me being an only child. But the rest of them, they might have had somebody in the house that watched them, but we didn't. You didn't fuss or fight. You didn't. You just played.
Elizabeth is looking forward to receiving resources from Russell Place of Promises Home Repair Program.
This time we applied because he said it doesn't matter what your income is. And I just figured because I was retired and had an income, Social Security, and a pension, I just figured I wouldn't qualify. This was a beautiful area with the trees and the stuff. And plus, not only that, they here down in the West End and even on this street, people had fruit trees and grapes growing in the yard and stuff. It was just nice. It's just like living in a dream community.
Jackie Floyd is a rebel, a daddy's girl, and lifelong advocator for the black community as a collective. But these days, she focuses her superpowers in her own backyard. Russell.
My father had that unconditional love for me. No matter what I did, how I did, I was still his blackjack and jack. Okay, I could do no wrong. My mother, she was passive, but until you stepped on her toes, and then she became passive aggressive. But she was passive, and she couldn't understand how come I didn't go along to get along. That wasn't my nature. That wasn't me. I questioned everything. I wanted to be a part of everything. But I've always been a leader. I've always danced to my own drums. Never in my life would I didn't never think I was going to own a home. I never did. Okay? That house on the corner right there on 15th and Chestnut, we bought that house. That house was built. We were the first people to live in that house. I got to pick out the cabinets, the rugs, and everything, okay? Harvey C. Russell, he was, that's who Russell's named after, and I think Russell got that name in the 60s. I'm thinking because nobody knows the exact year that Russell became Russell, because before that we was just a neighborhood. And if you, between 6th Street and 13th Street, beginning with 6th Street, Russell had over 150 black-owned businesses. Now we owned the business, but we didn't own the building, and we didn't own the land. So when urban renewal came through, the white man still pocketed off of us, okay? Because we had the business, they had the land and the building, okay? So now that's why it's important now that black folks, when they have a business, they need to own that building. They need to own it, because if something comes through or whatever like that, if a fire or whatever, they get paid. They didn't get paid up there. They didn't. And the reason that Walnut Street was so popular, because when you went 2 blocks over to 4th Street, you can go in there and try on shoes. What you had to do is take a piece of paper and they outlined your foot on the paper, and then they went and got some shoes to match the paper. How thorough?
What year was this?
This had to be back in the 40s. 50s, because we were not allowed. You couldn't even try on clothes down there. But that was on 4th Street. But on 6th Street, after 6th Street, you were treated like a human being. It was the black community, okay? But you dressed up. You know how now we so casual. We wear jeans to waist to feet and stuff. No. When you went shopping on 6th Street, it didn't matter what you have. You had on your Sunday best. I love to read. And reading became a habit because when I was a teenager, I was grounded so damn much, okay? Girl, you wouldn't believe. I'm off punishment this week. I'm going to do something this week. So I would go to Parkland Library. That's what I'm glad it's opening back up. I would go to Parkland Library and get me 5 books, okay? Because I knew at some point in time during that month, I was going to be grounded, okay? So I would have something to read. Yeah.
Oh wow! So you had you knew, so you made provisions, make sure you had everything you needed to do your bid.
I know.
Because you were free, and so you knew that you were willing to accept the consequences of being free.
Yeah. Come 12, 31, 22, I would be stepping away from Russell Place of Promise, okay? Because it's in good hands. The young, they know that they can call me anytime. I'm still gonna be working in the community, but it's time for me to start stepping back and letting the young folks take, because they're very, very capable. I've worked with them. I see these young folks. I am so, so proud of the protesters. I don't know what to do. Because back in my day, when somebody got shot and killed, we raised hell, girl, no more than 2 weeks, okay? Then business as usual. They kept it up for over a year. They kept it up. I am so proud of them. And it's just like, if we allow them, if we step back, they got this, but we got to step back out of their way.
Deborah Campbell is a mother that puts God and her children first.
Yeah, because I made them both sing in the choir when they were younger, just so they would be part of the church and that they would be able to interact with other people that was part of the church and their church family. So that's a real biggie. That I wanted them to know their church family, be a part of their church family, and get to know, to grow up with a lot of the youth that was in our church.
Music is a huge part of the black church. So when I asked Deborah if she had a particular song that moved her, this is what she had to say.
I think the Marvin Sapp never would have made it, and I guess through a lot of the stuff I've went through with my oldest son, because he's a paraplegic, and we've been through a lot of trials, you know. So when that song came out, it was just like bam, you know. Um, I can identify with that, you know. So that would be my song of praise, and you know, that would be the song.
While Deborah didn't grow up in Russell, she's still been in the area all of her life.
I lived on Day Street all my life.
Oh,
Yeah, 23rd and Date. Grew up there and was there till I got my first apartment, and I was in the South End. But then when I got my Habitat House, I moved back to the West End, which was Russell area. But at the time, we didn't know. I didn't know, you know, Parkland area, Russell area, all the different areas. We just knew like Day Street. That's where we're from, Day Street. So
yeah.
yeah, because we lived on Day Street, but I had an uncle and my grandmother lived on Magazine, so we was always over there as well between the two houses. So man, I've been in this area all my life.
Donna has lived in her current home for over 27 years. So I asked her if she could share with me one of the more noticeable differences between Russell then and Russell now.
I think more abandoned houses, and there's not as many corner stores as there used to be, but mainly just places that are closed down. That's really heartening for me, because I mean we didn't. I mean we our block. It was so many kids on our block. We didn't really have to venture out, or we would go to the park around the corner, or to the store that was right next to it. So I mean, we just had a ball growing up, you know. So, but you know, lately I've been driving through, and I was like, gosh, man, there's a lot of abandoned houses that in our neighborhood, and especially Madison. You know, 22nd and 24th, several, several, and I was like, I'm glad they're getting ready to tear some of them down. You know, hopefully, maybe we can get some more, you know, habitat homes in the neighborhood, and you start to rebuild it.
When asked if she thought that Russell Place of Promise is keeping its promises, She said that she believes that they are.
Yes, yes. Um, just from some of the things I've seen, um, they are, and they're more. You hear more about them, I guess, because they're more out in front, talking with people, doing things for the community. Prior to last year, I had not even heard of them. Russell Place of Promise. Had not heard of them. My sister had, and she was with them. She's been with them. This is her second year. So she's the one who told me about it.
Donna Mattingly's beautiful abode commanded my attention at the gate, literally. Its entryway details are fit for a queen, with its adorable cobblestone columns and gorgeous statues of honeycombs and lions mounted on top of them. Right away, I got a sense of the pride that Donna has for the Russell community.
I love my neighbors. We all get along very well. We look after each other. Um, I love our street. I love the way everybody keeps their homes. Um, it's just, you know, it's it's really nice. So no, I love my neighborhood, and I love my neighbors. We're almost downtown, so we're on the bus route. If we need to catch the bus anywhere in the neighborhood, we can. I mean, anywhere to go out, we can. So we're just centrally located, in my opinion, and it's very convenient. So I think that we have hospitals near. Uh, our churches are near. We have grocery stores that are near us. We just have it's just nice and comfortable here. We have had the same neighbors. Most of them have been the same neighbors since I've been here on this street. And I've been here on this street for over 20 years. So, yeah, most of these neighbors have been here as long as maybe 30.
Donna has lived in Russell all of her life and believes that it's not where you live, but how you live.
I grew up in Beaches Terrace.
Okay.
And then in my pre-teens, we moved over in Village West in Phase 3. And living in the projects, we had hardship there. We didn't. We was on welfare dependence, and my mother was a single household parent. And just like a lot of people in the community, we had hardship. The monies that was distributed out to us wasn't enough to cover us for a whole month. So by the middle part of the month, we would run out of food. And so, with the grace of God, we made it through the hardship. A lot of people that was raised in the projects, they turned out to be very successful. I know we did. She did the best that she could, but she always instilled in us God. We had laundromats in the Beaches Terrace. It was down in the basement part of the projects, and we had playgrounds. We had community centers there. We had a park with swimming pools in it. They also had basketball courts in there, and it were the building with the winter office down in the basement part. They had a health facility building there. They had a dentist in there. They had, where we can get our shots. We got all of our shots as kids, babies. We got all of our shots down there in the basement part of Beaches Terrace.
Donna's certainly looking forward to receiving the funds from Russell Place of Promise to make some much needed updates.
They're gonna give us like $5,000. They're gonna contribute like $5,000, and that will help a whole lot because we want to put a new air conditioner unit, and we want to put a water heater there.
It was a bit chilly for a late summer morning, so I was glad to see that Mr. Prince had chosen a perfect table in the sun for our interview.
Prince, Prince, Sunchild, Sonchild. Moore, Moore.
Okay.
I'll be 78 in November of this year. So, my father was a self self proclaimed preacher, but my mother, a great Christian lady. Her and Jesus Christ was on first name basis. She called him Jesus, and he called her Annie. That's how close they were. That's how close she was to the cross and to her faith and everything. She passed away. I was 60 years old. I was sad, but I was glad. She was 92 years old. I was sad because she passed away, but I was glad that I had my mother for 60 years. How many people can say I've been with my mother, or my mother been around for 60 years? That's a long time.
I've never met a person whose family's slave story didn't match my own.
My African background. See, I got more African blood in me than most Americans because my grandmother came to Africa on the slave ship. Not my great grandmother, but my grandmother came to Africa on the slave ship. But she never was a slave. She ran away and she lived among the Seminole Indians. And she boasted and bragged about, well, she boasted and bragged, uh, 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 same thing, but still, uh, about killing soldiers. And then she told my father the story. Then he told it to my brothers and sisters. And then, of course, they told it to me. And then, of course, as you know, and then my grandmother told my father the stories. See, my era of blacks, they kept it from being written down. So that's why black people love porches, because that's where they get the history, and that's where the stories have been told on the porches. And so therefore, and so therefore my my father told it to my brothers, but he did not elaborate much. Had he did, they may have forgotten it, but that's all I know, that she lived among the Seminole Indians. And a lot of black people, they their history was not written down because they were not allowed to read and write. And by the way, my father could read and write, and that's pretty good. He was born 18 something because he died in 46. I was 2 years old.
Prince is proud of being an alumni of Central High School and Madison Junior High.
Even you may not have went to Central High School, but you should have a close tie to Central High School. They tried to change the name, but a lot of educated, influential black said no. Yeah,
Do you remember what the name they wanted to change it to?
no, I don't. But they changed uh, 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 Lexington Dunbar. They changed that name. That was an all black school
Where was that?
in Lexington.
Okay.
Lexington Dunbar.
I noticed you mentioned Madison Junior High.
Yeah, which is right down the street on the corner of 18th Street, which is a high-rising place now for
Those
people of
high rise
certain age.
apartments?
Yeah,
That was a junior
that
high?
was a junior high school.
Was it always that tall?
Yes, yep, Madison Junior High School. I went there. And then later on was Harvard C. Russell. Great, not good teachers, great teachers.
So, what were your teachers? What made them great? What do you think? What like in contrast to what's available in this area now?
Now and then
Yes.
they were great because they lived in the neighborhood and they were concerned about the black students because they were black. And they were great because the teachers at Central had PhDs. You didn't know that, did you? PhD. They could have taught in college.
Oh, no,
But
I
they,
did not know that.
yeah, our teachers had PhDs at Central High School.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Well, a lot of people don't know that.
I'm not surprised that we've been having to work harder and strive harder and do more in order for just a little bit.
You cannot. I told my daughter, I told my son, you cannot allow them to erase black history, and they're gonna try to do it. Lexington done by people. I saw some of the guys, they said, man, we made a mistake. We allowed them to change the school. It was called Lexington Dunbar, man. They was great. They came down here and played Central High School and basketball and everything. We had a crowd out there. It was so crowded, people climb up on the roof. Yeah, just to peep in and see the games. Miss Porter was my English teacher.
And she was
She was a family member of the funeral home people. Oh my love, we had so much greatness going on, and the nightclubs. And the nightclub.
Tell me about the nightclub.
Oh, the nightclub was.
Can you name some of them?
First team All-America, in other words. They was top of the line.
I could listen to Prince tell stories about back in the day all day.
But yeah, nightclub, Charlie Moe, Top Hat, Joe's Palm Room, Lock Your Tees, oh my goodness, a whole bunch of clubs. Elizabetha, all those clubs were great. Seals, which are down here. I don't know if you're familiar with the West End.
SYLS apostrophe S. Yes, I am.
Seals. They were called Mills back in the 50s, and they was on Walnut Street. Top of the line club. Charlie Moe's and Top Hats was right there across from Beach and Terrace. Now, but they got those new apartment buildings up right there, right? Mm-hmm. And Charlie Moe and Top Hat is right there where Village West is. That was Charlie Moe, big old window glass. But you peep in there, I think you see all them pretty glasses and everything there. Joe Lewis will go in there. People will come from all over the world and go to Top Hats and Charlie Moe's nightclub, which was on Walnut Street right there.
Wow. So black people then, and what year was this?
50s, 40s?
In the 40s and 50s, black people in Louisville, in the Russell neighborhood, they own black venues. They own black businesses, black venues, everything. Black restaurants,
and
classy.
The black teacher lived in the same neighborhood with the black student parents.
Prince's rule on living a good life is simple.
And you must be obedient, and you must be patient. Mm-hmm. That's the secret to success. Obedient and patient. Make sure that you put that down.
I got it.
The secret to success is
obedience and patience.
That's it. Everything else you can throw it out the window.
I asked Prince if he's already received financial assistance from Russell Place of Promise to make necessary updates or repairs to his home. And he had this to say. Have you already had like any repairs made?
Yeah. I'm hoping they come and do my windows, but they did come and install the central air for me. Because my window air conditioner went out, and that's a good deal. But I had to buy my furnace back in February myself. I wish they was able to put in that also, but they were not able to because I had already gotten that done.
Okay. There's a saying that goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Through collaboration and shared leadership, Russell Place of Promise builds with its residents to establish placemaking goals and strategies. It's no longer a wonder of whether or not Russell Place of Promise is keeping its promises to Russell neighborhood residents, but rather a fact. This documentary is evidence of proof, and we all know that the proof is always in the pudding.